This is your first ever video lesson. The goal of this lesson will be to demonstrate how you should utilize videos in order to take notes on a lesson at hand. This video will be fairly short and quick, but the goal again is to identify ways in which you can best take notes and prepare for class on Tuesday. So, what you should do is when you do need to take notes, you should pause the video. If you didn't exactly understand something, rewind the video, and if you feel as though you're getting the hang of it, then you can just keep on going along. But utilize the importance of a video lesson. You can work at your own pace. So today's lesson is about the mid-segment of a triangle, which is section 5.4 in our textbook. So here we have the triangle mid-segment theorem, which states the following. A mid-segment of a triangle is parallel to a side of the triangle, and its length is half the length of that side. So here we have segment DE. And segment DE is the mid-segment of this triangle because of the following reasons. Point D and point E are both midpoints of the lines AB and BC respectively. When you connect those midpoints together, they create a segment, and the segment is called the mid-segment. So there are some rules that comes with a mid-segment. The first is that the mid-segment DE is half the length of the side it is not attached to, AC. Secondly, they are parallel to each other, so we can utilize those parallel theorems in order to solve some problems. Again, if you were not able to fully take down all of the notes, you should have paused the video so that you can jot down the mid-segment triangle theorem. Moving on. So here we have a problem that helps us demonstrate what exactly the mid-segment theorem tells us. So we're going to find the measure of each length. We're going to complete numbers 3 through 8. I'm going to go at a pretty fast pace, so again, I suggest you pause the video whenever you are trying to figure out a problem. It might also be worthwhile to pause the video now and try to solve the problems before I do them, but you are not required to do so. So the first one is NM. So we need to first find segment NM, and it is the mid-segment with midpoints M and N, which is attached to YZ and XZ. So what we can notice is that XY length is 10.2. Therefore, NM should be half the length of this as it is not attached to XY and it is parallel to it. So NM is equal to 5.1. The next problem wants us to find XZ. So XZ is the base of the triangle here. The information that we know that we can find is actually the mid-segment LM. Since the mid-segment is LM, we know that XZ should be double the amount of LM. Therefore, XZ is equal to 11.2. One more segment to find would be NZ. NZ. Point N is the midpoint of XZ. We already found XZ, so we can find XN by dividing by 11.2 by 2, and we would get 5.6. But we can see something else here. Half of the length of a triangle is going to be the same as the mid-segment. Now let's talk about some angles here. It gives us the following information. Angle MNZ is equal to 29 degrees. So we need to find the length of LMN, which is this angle. Because LM and XZ are parallel to each other, we can use the parallel lines theorems in order to figure this out. And thus, we can conclude that LMM is equal to 29 degrees because of the alternate interior angles theorem. Remember, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate interior angles are congruent. Let's go through these last two problems. So, we want to know what the measure of YXZ is. YXZ. So, YXZ. YXZ, which is this angle. Well, we can identify quickly that we have two parallel lines here cut by a transversal. And M and Z and YXZ are corresponding angles. So this is also equal to 29 degrees because of the corresponding angles postulate. And then the last one, XLM, XLM, which is this angle. So if we know that the measure of LMN and YXZ is 29 degrees, then the measure of this angle XLM is going to be supplementary to these two angles because of the same side interior angles theorem. Since they're supplementary, the measure of this angle is equal to 151 degrees. Okay? For supplementary means that they have to add up to 180 degrees. Again, if you were not able to follow along, you should rewind the video and check to make sure that you understand the material here. As in class tomorrow, we will practice more problems and not necessarily go over exactly how the mid-segment theorem works. So utilize this video as best as you can to take notes. Last thing is a word problem. In this A-frame house, the width of the first floor is 30 feet. So we can write the width is 30 feet here. The second floor is slightly above and parallel to the mid-segment theorem. So CD is not the mid-segment theorem, but we do know that whatever the mid-segment theorem is, um, CD is above it. So the question is asking us to just think about what we have here and answer the following. Is the width of the second floor more or less than 5 yards? Okay, so the first thing is we need to convert 30 feet to yards. So there are 3 feet for every yard. So the bottom floor is actually 10 yards. Secondly, we need to now figure out exactly what the mid-segment of this triangle would be. This line would equal 5 yards. So they want to know whether or not CD actually would be more or less than 5 yards. And the answer to that is it would be less than because it is above the mid-segment theorem. Since it's creeping up above and above, it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That's all I have for today. Make sure that you take notes and you come to class prepared tomorrow with all of your materials. Thank you.